We'll go ahead and call up the tower, same thing, who we're calling, who we are, where we are, what we want to do. And Arbor Tower, Skyhawk 153 Yankee, ready for departure, 24 VFR over the stadium.
Skyhawk 153 Yankee, Arbor Tower, right turn, runway 24, clear for takeoff, wind 2306.
Clear for takeoff, 24, right turn on course approved, 3 Yankee. Add in full power here. I just control my direction with rudder, you know, left and right on my feet, and then as we hit the right airspeed, I'll pull back a little bit. Airplane rotates, and we're off the ground. We just hold that runway heading that we took off of 240. That's why we call it runway 24. It's because it's 240 on the compass. And we just hold this heading until about 500 feet above the ground, then we make our first turn. And he cleared us for a right turn over the stadium. Our altimeter down there in the bottom left, that's showing coming up on about 1,300 feet here. The ground here is about 800 feet, so 1,300 will be our first turn. Clear on the right. Ever go to any of the mission games?
Yeah, we have season tickets.
Oh, cool. Seems like half the DLSL kids are state fans and half are Michigan fans.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. But this year it's kind of a more state.
Oh, yeah. I can understand why. I work for the athletic department part-time, so I've got season tickets, and they've been giving us extra tickets. I had like 6 tickets almost every game this year. I couldn't give them away to anybody, just nobody wanted them.
Yeah, they don't have a really good schedule this year.
No, they give us the option to pay like the PSD to upgrade our tickets, you know, from the end zone to, you know, between the 40s. And there was no way I was going to pay like $1,000 just to have, you know, a couple seats between the 40s to watch us play like crap against terrible teams.
Yeah, the Penn State game was a decent game though. It was kind of sloppy, but it was a good win.
Yeah, no, it was much needed. All those little bumps we feel, basically it's just the sun warming the ground, and as the ground gets warmer, it heats the air, and then the warm air starts rising up, and you get these little thermal bumps and stuff that bounce the airplane around. For the most part, it just bounces up and down. Sometimes it'll bounce a wing left or right. You know, we just correct, you know, with aileron left or right as we need to. Not really a big deal for the airplane, it's just more of an inconvenience if anything. And as far as flying the airplane, all I really do is I just look straight out the front window and use this instrument panel here in relation to the horizon to tell if I'm, you know, straight and level. You can see it's turned a little left now, so turn a little bit back to the right, won't be level again. And then about how much ground you see tells you if your nose is pitched up or down. So if you see less ground, you know you're aimed up, you're probably climbing and getting slow. If you see more ground, then you're descending. So I'll have you go ahead and reach forward. You got the flight controls.
Yep.
And it's all about just looking out the window and making small little adjustments as you need to. Kind of hold the nose where you want it to go. Make a little left turn here around the stadium too if you'd like. Just slowly roll in with a little left aileron there to bank the airplane. Let the nose come down just a hair. It's a real light grip on the controls, yeah, you don't have to be too tense with it or nothing like that. Put it down just a little more. You can kind of feel that neutral zone where the controls want to be.
Yeah.
Somewhere around there, you shouldn't have to feel like you're using back pressure or using forward pressure, just right where the airplane's trimmed for. We got it set for that right airspeed and the right pitch attitude. Big keep making a left turn there if you'd like. Very good. You can see too, kind of as the nose rises up, you can hear the airplane get a little slower. I kind of like, I don't always look at the airspeed indicator. I use clues, you know, like the quieter sound means I'm climbing, so I must, you know, need to push forward a little bit and descend. Then if it gets real loud, I know I'm probably descending and picking up airspeed, so I need to pull back a little bit. And
yeah.
Little things like that. We can keep up this left turn. We can actually make a little U-turn here, full 180 degrees.
Keep turning?
Yep. Yeah, we'll keep turning to the left, and we'll head all the way out to northbound. You just keep rolling to the left till you get the big end right on the nose of the airplane. Perfect. Rolling wings level. Just like driving a boat, you gotta almost lead the turn a little bit by like 10 degrees or so, and then the airplane kind of finishes the turn for you.
Yeah.
We usually say it's like half the bank angle. You know, if you're making like a 30-degree bank turn, 15 degrees before you start to roll out. If you're making a 60-degree bank turn, 30 degrees before, because you're actually turning so quickly at 60 degrees. And 3 Yankees on course northbound.
3 Yankee, proceed on course for exchange crew. Good day.
3 Yankee, we'll monitor. We're going out for about 10 minutes, and then we'll report back inbound.
3 Yankee, roger.
So do you live out by Shelby out there? Or?
Yeah, I live by Metro Beach.
Okay, yep. Yeah, I don't get out that way as much as I like to. There's a cool little airport, I think it's Ray Community Airport, about 27-mile road and Van Dyke.
Yeah, I used to live over there, but I live right across the street from Selfridge.
Okay, yep. Yeah, and Ray's actually, it's, you know, like as the crow flies, I think it's only about 8 miles from Selfridge. Since I always remember, you know, getting real close to the airspace every time I go out there. That's usually where I fly out to if I'm going to visit, you know, Camp Mitch or see my dad out there because he lives out on 26-mile road.
Oh,
and,
nice.
Yeah, just goes out there and beach driving.
Yeah.
You can see you got about maybe an inch or so of horizon, maybe 2. You can lower the nose just a hair. Perfect, yeah, this is more of a level flight attitude. You'll actually notice the airplane will speed up if the nose goes a little lower. This haze layer you see here, that's basically a temperature inversion showing where all the haze and pollution's rising up from the ground from all those thermals carrying stuff up. And then up here, actually, the temperature gets a few degrees warmer all of a sudden, just kind of a weather anomaly.
Yeah.
And because usually it gets colder as you go up and up and up. Sometimes you'll get it where it gets colder, colder, then warmer, and then colder again. And it actually blocks all the thermals, and so you'll feel it's much smoother up here, you know, above this little haze layer that we see. Kind of shows you where all the thermals and all the rising air stops. It's pretty sweet flying this time of year around all the trees and stuff, and colleges yet, or?
Well, I'm looking at Embry-Riddle because yeah, I've been to their baseball coach contacted me.
Yep.
And I've been thinking about there in Western.
Sweet. Your mom, I think she was saying you were looking at air traffic control?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I talked to a A-10 pilot during the air show.
Oh, at Selfridge, yeah.
Yeah, he said he went to Western and said to get into the military, and after you get out, like you get like kind of like a jump start to any like aeronautical profession. Yeah,
no, I mean, it certainly helps. It's tough to get in, actually, you know, at Selfridge, especially being an A-10 pilot. They are really selective. They only take one guy a year, and they fly the A-10s out of there, and then the KC-135s, the fuel tankers. But you know, Embry-Riddle, Western, they're both good programs. They're expensive, but I mean, if you're looking at air traffic control, it's good to go to college and get a degree in it. That definitely helps. Or going military, you know, and actually coming out as, you know, if you're a military air traffic controller for a couple of years, you know, you put 2 or 3 years in, and then, especially International Guard's the sweetest way to go, because you'll put in maybe 3 years active duty, and then you go hire, you know, a civilian job working, you know, for the FAA, you know, out of Detroit Metro, wherever it might be, and you're still getting paid, you know, as a part-time military guy. You got a great retirement set up. You always got something to fall back on, as if you ever got furloughed from the FAA, you always fall back to go into military active duty, you know, and it's a great, great resume thing. A lot of air traffic controllers actually aren't ex-military, but a lot of pilots are.
Yeah.
So I'll go ahead and take the flight controls here for a minute.
All right.
Yep. Get the airplane trimmed out, so basically fly it hands off here. The airspeed builds back up. Yeah, so it's trimmed out perfectly. I don't even have to really do anything. I'll just maintain level flight here. I'll go ahead and demonstrate for you like about a 30-degree bank turn, you know, 360. I'll just clear on the left. Roll into a left turn here. And 30 degrees is basically when that wing starts parallel with the ground, or this third hash mark here. And then I just look outside and I hold the nose level on the horizon. I pick like a rivet or something that lines up with the horizon there. And if I raise the nose up, I'll climb. You know, I'll hear the engine get quieter. You know, the airspeed slows down.
Yeah.
You can hear it kind of bogging down. If I let forward, you'll hear it speed up. You know, you're descending. And come back here in north heading, about 15 degrees before I get there, I slowly start rolling out. And I got to push forward a little bit too, almost, because I was pulling back in the turn. That vertical lift that's holding the airplane up, when you deflect it sideways, the airplane wants to naturally sink, so you got to pull back to raise the nose up and increase your total lift. And then once you roll wings level again, that starts pushing your nose up, so you got to push forward on it a little bit. So have you go ahead and take the flight controls. Whenever you're ready, go ahead and try left or right, your choice.
All right.
Very good. Yep, start the roll in. Now as we're banking the airplane, start pulling back just a hair, very lightly. Very nice. Bank angle is perfect, the wing starts parallel with the ground, your nose is right where it should be. Might be getting a little low, you can pull back just a hair. Very good. Roll back here to north heading, yep, just slowly roll out. Excellent, yep, and then just push forward a little bit to keep that nose from rising on you. Very nice. Thank you. I'll go ahead, I'll try a 45-degree one to the right. You'll feel it pushing you back in your seat a little bit more, and the reason is basically 45 degrees, you got to pull back harder, you know, because you're losing more of that vertical lift, you're translating into horizontal lift. So the turn will actually happen quicker, plus we're going to be pushing our seats a little more, so clear on the right there. Roll in a little more aggressively, and pull back to hold the nose right there. I'm just picking a point on the cowling and just holding it level on the horizon. Took a good amount of little pushing forward to keep the nose from popping up on me on that one. Go ahead and give it a shot.
Alright.
As you can see the nose dropping there, yep, start to pull back slightly. Rolling a little more. Very good, you'll have to pull back a little harder. Set your ailerons neutral, we'll just hold this bank angle, you can see the nose dropping, so pull back on her. Very good, yep, pushing forward on it a little bit. Excellent. Nice. So do you like roller coasters at all?
Yeah.
Yeah? So, you know, doing stalls or nothing like that, that wouldn't scare you? No? Alright, well I'll go ahead and take the flight controls. I'll demonstrate what it is, you know, basically, you know, an aerodynamic stall. We just reduce power a little bit to get the airplane slowed up. And, you know, the nose naturally wants to drop when we reduce power. It wants to maintain the same airspeed, basically. So if we're cruising at 100, it'll lower the nose and seek 100 miles per hour in a descent. I'll just keep the nose up so we don't descend and start bleeding off some airspeed. Just pulling the nose up. And obviously, like, this is not a good place to be. You know, it's kind of giving you a warning, like, you should probably do something like lower the nose right about now. We keep pulling back and then it stalls and you recover, add in power and stop the descent. And that was a pretty minor one. The more you pull the nose up, the deeper you're going to induce the stall, the more you're going to create drag on the airplane and the more the nose is going to drop. So if I pull the nose a lot higher on this one, see, the nose is going all the way to the ground. And if I just keep pulling back on it, it just stays in the stall. That vibration is basically the turbulent air flowing over the wings. So, you can see though, we barely lost any altitude. It's not really, people get, you know, the idea of a stall really freaks them out. There's really not much to it. Roll out here in a westbound heading. Set our cruise power back in here. You can see here we're trimmed for 100, so we're a little slower than 100, so the nose is actually going to drop on us a bit until it hits 100, and then it'll actually, you know, slowly, it might go a little past 100, then slowly raise the nose back up all on its own. They're just they're what's called dynamically stable. It'll seek that airspeed. Once it's trimmed for a certain airspeed, it'll always try to fly back to it. So as it gets up towards 100 here, you can see the nose rising. It's going to slow itself down a little bit. It'll just go through these little oscillations. Even if you know, pulled up really abruptly and got it really slow, and then just let go and let the nose drop, it'll go past level, you know, and maybe about 5-10 degrees down, build up some airspeed. As it builds airspeed back up, it'll fully raise its nose back up.
Departing inverse mission helipad north.
Cover 30 Alpha and Arbor Tower, use caution, helipad not visible to the tower, and Arbor 12906.
Good job.
Just go through these little oscillations so it smooths out.
So this plane could kind of like fly itself.
Pretty much. We don't have a autopilot, but I mean, up, you know, here where it's nice and smooth air, once you get it trimmed just right, you know, if I raise it back to the right attitude so it stops doing slow oscillations there, just let go of it. I mean, it'll basically fly itself in a nice straight line. It might curve a little bit. You still have to kind of stay on it, but for me, like flying here to Florida, it's really tiny motions. It's not demanding or physically demanding at all. It's more mentally demanding, talking to ATC and just being alert for other airplanes and, you know, the routes I'm flying and everything like that. But, I mean, as far as actually flying the airplane, it's physically very easy. When you see people coming out of the airplane, they're drenched in sweat, and they're tense and whatever, it's because they're always hunched forward like death grip on the controls instead of just 2 fingers. And they might not be using trim properly. They might be actually be fighting themselves. Like if you go ahead and take the flight controls here, and I trim the airplane, you can see, like, that would be kind of uncomfortable here in Florida. And so we just always say, And so we just always say we trim to relieve control pressure. You know, we don't trim, you know, we always have our hand on the control and then basically just, you know, set it where we want it and then trim the wheel until we feel the control pressure go away. Go ahead and reduce our engine RPM here. We'll start a little descent. We make a little left turn southbound. We're clear on the left. We'll roll out here. A lot of times I don't even use the compass. I just use the section lines of the road to kind of tell, you know, which way is, you know, south, east, west, north.
Arbor Tower, Diamond 3 and 9 Alpha Mike, request early frequency change.
9 Alpha Mike, frequency change approved, have a good flight.
Frequency change approved, thank you, 3 and 9 Alpha Mike.
It's gotten a little hazy, but earlier you could see downtown Detroit. You can still see Detroit Metro out there. You got one little blotch of break in the trees there, a smaller green one. That's Willow Run Airport. And then just beyond that, the bigger break in the trees. You can barely make out some runways over there. That's Detroit Metro.
Oh yeah, I see that.
Reduce power here a little more. Three Yankees 10 north, inbound 430.
Number 3 at Yankee and Arbor Tower, report 3 north for runway 30.
We'll report 3 north, 430, 3 Yankee. Basically just requesting the runway I'd like. 30, we took off 24, 30 is the grass runway. So it'll get you a little taste of what it's like to land on grass. So at least you can say you did it. And then, you know, asked me to report 3 miles north of the field. He's got radar and he can see me, but it just kind of jogs his memory too. He's got other aircraft he's managing. Any questions so far on it?
No questions. No questions. I'm good.
You can see here we're actually getting a little bit below the haze layer now, so feel the little bumps start again. The airport's actually just that little grassy patch there, and you can barely see the runway running through it sideways. I always just look for the buildings in downtown, then just look a few miles south.
Oh yeah, I see it.
Number 3 at Yankee, 12 o'clock, 2 miles, Diamond, indicating 3,600, working with Detroit northbound.
3 Yankee, looking for traffic. So he's basically just giving us a traffic alert. 12 o'clock, 2 miles, there should be an aircraft about 700 feet above us. Hard to see with the sun where it is.
I see him.
Yeah, he'll pass off our left side by a bit.
Pardon?
He'll pass pass off our left side by quite a bit.
Oh, I didn't see that guy. I saw there was...
Oh, that's a bigger jet up there, yeah. Three Yankee has drive in sight.
3 Yankee, roger. Maintain visual separation.
3 Yankee, we'll go. So a lot of the stuff they'll always tell us is maintain VFR, visual flight rules, or visual separation. Basically, just you can fly as close as you want to them, just don't create a hazard. And you're responsible for your own separation. If you ever, if I call back and said, negative contact, or I don't see them, you would say, okay, suggest a heading of this, to avoid traffic, or descend and maintain, a certain altitude, or.
And Arbor Tower.
Typically, they'll separate us by at least 500 feet. 500 feet separation is pretty typical. 1,000 is even better, but.
Yeah, just Willow Run and en route to Jackson. Like to transit your airspace, we're going to level here at 18.
It's interesting when they pass, like a big commercial jet underneath you at 500 feet, and you look down, you're like, holy crap, they're just hauling, and going so much faster than you.
Okay,
and 500 feet is good separation, but not much. That's pretty close to see them. You can see the pilots in the cockpit.
Right traffic, runway 30.
Right traffic for 303 Yankee. So he asked us to make a right-handed rectangle around the airport, around that runway particularly. We always make a rectangle around the runway they assign us or we request. Yeah, you shouldn't feel like you have to push or pull at all. You just let them fall to, the neutral zone there. The nose will be low, which is normal, just a normal, nice descent. We can bear a little left here. Almost get lined up with, I think this is Stadium Boulevard. Yeah, 94. Perfect. And rolling is level. Anything else you can think of you want to do in the airplane?
No, this is awesome.
Yeah. Got some turns, got a stall in. More than most people do on a Discovery flight. Usually they're just like, they come out, they think it's something fun to do, and it's the first bump they feel like, oh my god. You make these little tiny 10-degree turns with them, and it's painful how slowly the airplane turns, at 10 degrees, and it's like, okay, let's use 30 or 40 or something a little more appreciable here. We're coming up on 3 miles from the airport.
Yankee traffic, Cessna 5 east of Ann Arbor, 2,000 feet indicated westbound.
3 Yankee looking for traffic, and we're 3 out. They'll almost always give you traffic calls, in relation to like the analog clock, 12 o'clock, 9 o'clock, whatever it might be. He gave us that one 5 miles east of Ann Arbor, so it's not really a factor to us. But the one interesting thing is it's always going to be your ground track, so even though the aircraft's pointed a certain way, if the winds come in, say, a really strong left crosswind, you might be crabbed into it, and they could say 12 o'clock. Well, 12 o'clock's really 1 or 2 o'clock because you're aimed so much off.
Landing 30, and I want to take you north and over behind them.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and take the flight controls here.
That traffic's now 2.5 east, turning northbound along 23. I'm going to take them behind you.
3 Yankee, roger, thank you. This air traffic controller is notorious for being basically a dick. He's had so many complaints filed against him, he's just always in a bad mood.
If you report the traffic in sight off your left side, 2.5 miles. Cessna indicating 1,900.
His voice this morning sounded like he just got out of bed. He must have like, something wrong with his throat. But it sounded like Mickey Mouse or like one of the chipmunks. I was making fun of him a little bit. He didn't appreciate it. Called him on the text there.
Yankee runway 30, clear to land, 124.05.
To land, 303 Yankee.
Everyone wanting to go, if you can proceed westbound.
He called on the text clearance. I was like, alright, I'll taxi you to taxiway Alpha to runway 243 Yankee. And he goes, that's not funny. Alright. Just checking. I can start to see some of the buildings downtown Detroit, the Ren Center. Go ahead and trim for landing, basically just trim nose up. I'll have to push forward a little bit out here, but it'll help me pull back in the flare, so I'd rather be trimmed for, you know, to get my nose up away from the ground than, you know, trim down where, you know, if I let go, the airplane will fall to the ground. I'll do my little checklist here. I got carburetor heat on already, power back to 1500 RPM. Hold my altitude to slow down. I'm already good and slow at 80. I'll pull my first 10 degrees of flaps, and I'll start my descent. Last thing we check, fuel selector valve on both. Got fuel in the tanks. Got our mixture, we'll set that a little richer. Got our throttle set 1500. Carburetor heat is on, and we got our flaps at 10. We can go ahead and pull 20 flaps. Turn our base leg. Those yellow cones denote where the grass runway is. I basically just use my power to control my altitude here. You know, more power, I'll sink slower, less power, I'll come down a little faster. And then use pitch for airspeed. You know, if I want to speed up, if I'm getting a little too slow, I'll just push forward on the controls. If I'm getting a little too fast, I'll pull back. Got a little bit of a left crosswind, so the nose is pointed off to the left. That's one time where I'll use my rudders actually right now to straighten the airplane out. Just before we land, I'll push on the right rudder. I'll bring the nose back to the right and straighten out the airplane so the wheels touch going straight. Basically just hold it off till it doesn't want to fly anymore. Our flaps down, so we'll stick to the ground. Carburetor heat off. And 3 Yankees going to Aviation Center.
Number 3 Yankee, roger. Contact ground point 618.
Ground point 6, there, Yankee. So we said ground point 6, that's just a way of saying contact ground control on 121.6. All the ground control frequencies are always 121 point something. So he's just, I guess, too busy with whatever else, taking a coffee break to tell us our taxi clearance.